Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 8th, and it is my first day of virtual teaching. Long time no vlog. I can't even remember the last time I vlogged in my car, but I am going to try to, capture this week on video more than anything so that I can look back on it and I can remember how crazy this year was, because I never ever would have guessed that I would be starting the school year teaching my students through a screen, but here we are. Welcome to 2020. For those of you that don't know, my students are learning virtually. At this point, we've been told through the end of January, but things are constantly changing. I think we will be back in a hybrid format sometime before that. But as a teacher, I have the choice to teach from home or in my classroom. I have to teach from home on Wednesdays because they do a thorough cleaning of the building. So I've kind of set up an every other day schedule for myself. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I teach from home. Tuesday, Thursday, I teach from my classroom. And since it is a Tuesday, I am heading into my classroom. I'm sure you all know by now, but I am not allowed to vlog in my classroom. So what I'm gonna do is just recap you all once the day is over in my car. That could be a new thing, but in terms of how I'm feeling, I don't really know. I mean, I've tried not to think about it too much. I'm obviously nervous about tech issues. That's my biggest concern, but it's just a weird feeling. It doesn't feel like your typical first day of school. I'm super excited to see my kids, and I think once I get to be with them, even virtually, I will feel a lot better. It's just a bizarre feeling. I'm being positive, and I think there's a lot of good things that will come out of this. It's just weird on the first day of school, not getting to actually be with my students. But I'm gonna head to school. It's about 7:30-ish. I'm gonna drink my protein coffee on the way to school. I posted about this in my Instagram stories and got a lot of questions. So basically, I've switched over to a blender bottle. I was making it with my Ninja blender, but that's just too much work, when I'm actually teaching. So blender bottle, I put a scoop of protein, and I actually put that in the night before. That way it's one less thing I have to do in the morning. And then I just add in coffee, which I'm using the Stoke cold brew coffee, but you can use any coffee. But I've learned you can't add it in hot or else the protein won't mix. It's gotta be cold. So I'm gonna drink that, and I will catch up with you after the first day of school. I made it through my first day of virtual teaching. Look, today was interesting. Overall, I had a good day. There were no major tech issues. There were little things, of course, but it was pretty smooth. It just wasn't what the first day of school normally is, and that was hard because you get to see your students' personalities through the screen. It's just not the same, and I don't know, it was sad, honestly. There were moments where I'm sitting there talking and they're all muted, so I can't hear them laugh or react. At one point I literally made them all unmute themselves, fake laugh, and then mute themselves again, just because I needed to hear them. And I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk through our day, kind of go through our schedule. I'm gonna try to do that each day this week because we do have different schedules almost every day. So I'm gonna talk through the schedule, and I have my digital lesson planner literally on my lap because otherwise I won't remember. So our students start at 8:30. I got to school around 7:45, and from 8 to 8:30 is planning time for me on Tuesdays. So 8:30, my students pop on. I had a slide that kind of gave them, and I'll try to insert pictures on the screen of what I'm talking about, but I had a slide with a timer counting down until we were gonna start, and it had pictures of myself, and they had to tell me in the chat which one represented how they were feeling. I got that idea from Josie from Maniacs in the Middle. That was really cute. Then I went right into my mystery bag. So I had actually I ended up having 6 different items just in a book bag, and I went item by item, and I would take it out, and my students would look at it and try to figure out how it related to me. And I shared a Google Jamboard with them, which is just a collaborative virtual whiteboard, and they would use sticky notes in order to guess how that item related to me. That went really well. They had a lot of great thoughts. Then we did a scavenger hunt because I wanted them up and moving. So I again set a 5-minute timer. I had them run and find an item that represented them as a student or a fun fact about themselves. And they came back, and I used FLIPPITY, which is a random name picker. I've done a video on it, so I will link that for you. But I used FLIPPITY in order to pick students to share because not everyone had a chance to share. And then I quickly went over our schedule before cultural arts. which was at 9:45. So from 9:45 to 10:30, my students had virtual PE. No idea how that went, but they came back to me, and from 10:30 to 11:15 technically is like our science and social studies time, but this first week we're not necessarily doing like instruction. So instead I went over expectations. So like joining the meet and during the meet, what do I expect from you? And I also went over attention getters. So for attention getters, I'm kind of using 3 different ones. During the meeting, if I just want to check and make sure my students are listening, I would say class, class, and typically they would say yes, yes, but because they're all muted, they're using ASL for yes, which is just like this. So they do that to the screen, which is great. Then I have waterfall, which I will either say waterfall or type it in the chat, and my students will take their hands and go shh, like this, like rain coming down. And as their hand comes down, they hit mute so that they're muted by the time they finish, which that worked out pretty well. And then my doorbell, which I would use as an attention getter in the classroom, I'm using that online, except when I hit the doorbell, they need to come back to the Google Meet tab. So maybe they were on Google Jamboard or Google Classroom working on an assignment. If I ring the doorbell, they come back to the Google Meet tab. So I taught them those. And then we went into our code of conduct lesson, which these are district-wide. It's just to teach students the rules and go over the student handbook. So I had a read aloud for that, and we had some discussion questions, and we did some Jamboards as well to answer those questions. And then for the activity, we created like a digital poster. That started before lunch and then continued after lunch, but we also had Friends and Fun Time, which we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays from, what is it, 11:20 to 11:50. It's basically just a non-structured, it's not academic time. It's just a time for them to be on the meet and kind of hang out. So we just did like a virtual lunch bunch. I put on a directed drawing from YouTube, and otherwise they just kind of talked. Then after lunch at 1:15, so during that time is like when I have collaborative planning and stuff like that. But for the students, it's just kind of downtime. At 1:15, we finished Code of Conduct, and then we played This or That, which I previously shared in my Building Classroom Community video, so I will link that for you. And then I gave them a tutorial of Google Classroom and had them complete a practice assignment, which the practice assignment was partially to gauge their skills, like can they change font color? Can they change font size? Can they insert images? But it was also a following directions activity because I told them they had to read all the directions first. And if they did that, they saw on the last slide, it actually told them not to do any of that. But of course, only one student noticed that. The rest of them didn't follow the directions, and they were reading the directions on the middle slides and doing it. And I put silly things in there like go back on Google Meet and moo 3 times, or go back on Google Meet and say Miss Ferré is the best teacher ever. That was hysterical because I was trying to help students and they'd be like, oh, Miss Ferré, how do I change the font size? And I'm trying to help them, and meanwhile kids are popping in, they're like moo, moo. Like, it was hilarious. So that actually was a lot of fun. And then at the end of the day, I read aloud Our Class is a Family, which is one of my new favorite read alouds for the beginning of the school year. And that was it. That was our day. And from 3 to 4 is typically like meetings or planning time or whatever. Today it was more like collaborative planning time. So I met with one of my team teachers and we planned out some math for next week. But I am very brain dead and I'm at the gym, so I need to go and change, head inside, and get my workout on. So I will catch up with you tomorrow morning. It is now the second day of school, and I did a lot of reflecting last night, as in I was up until almost 2 in the morning because I couldn't fall asleep. But after reflecting, you know what? Yesterday really was a great day. I think what I was getting stuck on is the fact that it was different, but that's obvious. Like, things are going to be different this year. But after reflecting on it, there were a lot of wins from yesterday. First of all of my students didn't end up showing up. I don't think I mentioned that because at the time yesterday, I had one student who had not showed up, which I had reached out to all of my families before the year had started. I sent them all an email and had them schedule a time for a phone call. And there was one family I hadn't heard from, but I went ahead and reached out to them through phone. They hadn't answered, but last night I did get a response and it turns out the child has moved. So that means all of my students did show up, which I think is phenomenal. And after thinking about it, you know what? My students did a really good job. And I feel like I'm just really impressed by their resiliency through this. I feel like the adults have been making this into a bigger deal than it really is. And in reality, the students adapted so well and they did a great job. So this morning, I want to start by just complimenting my students and telling them like what impressed me yesterday, just to kind of start off on the right foot. But our schedule on Wednesday is very different. Our students basically have a half day. So I'm only gonna have them on from 8:30 to 11:15. And then in the afternoon, I have a lot of like meetings and PD and all of that. But I did wanna quickly show you my setup at home. Let's start with my necessities. I do have my iPad with me at all times. That's how I'm tracking like student attendance and everything. I have a spreadsheet on here. Obviously my phone, water, and protein coffee. In terms of electronics, I have our iMac, and then this is a document camera, which I can use as a webcam or a document camera, which I love. I'm using a second screen with the TV. So typically my Meet is up over here so I can see all of my students. And then this has all of my tabs that I'm presenting to them. And then I have lighting, because even though I do have a window, sometimes it takes a while for the sun to come up or it's cloudy or whatever. So I'm actually going to do a full video where I show you how to use a second screen. I'm gonna do a review of the document camera and show you where to get that, talk about lighting. So just wait, that video is coming, I promise. And I would just like to point out, one of the best things about virtual teaching is I can be wearing slippers. Also ignore the bruises on my shins. Thank you, deadlift. It is now my lunchtime, so let me give you all a rundown of my morning. From 8 to 8:30, typically we would have like a meeting or something, but this morning we didn't have any meetings scheduled, so that was just some extra time, which for me, I spent responding to emails that I got overnight. And then from 8:30 to 11:15, my students were on with me for live instruction. Typically on Wednesdays from 8:30 to 9:15, we are doing environmental literacy or computer science. So we just kind of flip-flop back and forth. For computer science, which is what we started with today, we are using Code Studio, which is like through code.org. It teaches students how to code. So I had to get my students set up on that, which was a little bit challenging because I see the teacher view and I can't see the student view, which is difficult. But I had students share their screen and we were able to troubleshoot, and eventually I got everyone on, so that was a victory. And then from 9:15 to 10 is typically academic flex time, which students who are in chorus will have chorus during that time, but that hasn't started yet. So because of that, today we just use that as like additional time to do activities, to get to know each other. I had my students decorate a virtual locker since we're not in person and they can't decorate their locker. So I showed them an example and had them work on that. And that actually went pretty well, I have to say. I played music in the background while my students were working, and it was actually pretty peaceful. So I'm happy about that. Then typically from 10 to 11:15, or hold on, my times are off. Let me look at my schedule. Oh, okay. I guess usually there's a 15-minute break from 10 to 10:15. So then 10:15 to 11:15 is time for intervention, instrumental music, ESOL, things like that. But again, those haven't really started yet, and obviously I don't have any intervention because it's the second day of school. So during that time, I had my students do a scavenger hunt, just a fun scavenger hunt for them to go find items, things like a sock and an ice cube. That was fun. And that got them up and moving. And then we did a virtual vision board. So kind of like the virtual locker, but instead of just representing themselves and things that they like, they were representing their goals for the year. So again, I showed them my example vision board and had them create their own. And because my students had already done a similar assignment with the virtual locker, it went very smooth. So that was it. Then I had my individual planning time, and again, I was answering emails. I was also preparing, I'm giving a PD this afternoon for the staff, so preparing for that and just trying to check off a lot of boxes, you know, for my to-do list. But overall, I'm feeling good. It's different teaching from home versus my classroom, but I like it. I kind of like going back and forth. I feel like it changes things up. And of course, my students all like wanted to see my cats and everything. So we're moving along, you know, it's not so bad. I wanted to show you all what I created to help keep myself more organized, because I feel like there's so many things I'm trying to remember to do, and I'm trying to remember to do attendance and who's allowed to be recorded and who isn't. So I created myself a Google Sheets spreadsheet just to have it all in one place, and I'm actually accessing this on my iPad, and then I use my Apple Pencil so I can easily check and uncheck the boxes. At the top, I have my list of things to do. So things like taking morning attendance, recording my different classes, and then taking afternoon attendance. So as I complete each one, I can just click on the little box and it will check it off. Then I actually have a spot down here where I have a list of my students and I'm checking them off for morning attendance and afternoon attendance, which we're only submitting attendance once, but I'm trying to kind of keep track of who's there and who isn't there. And then permission. So our students have to opt in to be allowed to be recorded on Google Meet for video and audio. So as those are getting turned in, I'm just keeping track of who's allowed and who isn't allowed, so that before I record, I can make sure that I have turned off cameras and mics for any students that are not allowed. So far, this seems to be working. I mean, I might end up making changes, but for now, this is working. Day 2 of virtual teaching complete. Obviously, I wasn't teaching students this afternoon, but I did have to give a PD to my staff and I had to sit through some other PDs. But the good news is there was a meeting that I did not have to attend because only certain members of our team have to attend. So I had some time to work on some slide templates. And y'all, I don't know what took me so long to figure this out. I feel like I knew it, but I had never played around with it enough to like do it efficiently. So let me just show you. I have shown you before how to lock pieces into the background on Google Slides so that students cannot move them around. And the way I showed you before was to put the pieces on the slide that you don't want students to move, save that slide as an image, and then insert that image as the background. And that's fine and dandy, but there is such a faster way, which I'm gonna show you right now. So all I've done is opened up a blank Google Slides presentation. What you want to do is edit the slide master. So you're going to go to Slide, Edit Master. Now, you don't need all of these, like I just go through and delete them, and then I'm gonna show you how I kind of make the different ones. So I'm just hitting backspace and deleting all of the ones that I don't need, and I'm gonna keep just this plain one. I'm gonna just delete the text boxes. I like to add those in later. I'm gonna start by adding in, again, those elements that I don't want my students to change. So I'm going to add in my rectangle, and I will right click, go to Format Options. Let's see, we're gonna make it 9.5 by 5.15. I am centering it. Okay, I'm gonna have that with no fill, black outline, and we're gonna make it nice and thick, like size 8. That looks good. I'm going to duplicate this rectangle, but I'm going to make it only 1 inch thick. And I'm going to fill it with black and put that up at the top for my heading. Actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit skinnier. Move it down. Okay, so I have those pieces. And then I want to add in the text box. I can actually go in and just right click and choose edit text. So I'll do it right in here. So I'm just gonna put edit title, and I'm gonna change this to Oswald. We're gonna make it white. We're going to center it horizontally and vertically. I'm kind of going through this really quickly because I've shown this in a lot of previous videos. We'll maybe go a little bit smaller, maybe size like 56. Okay, and then I want to add in a text box for my subheading underneath. So I'm gonna drag that, edit, subheading, okay. And we're gonna make this also Oswald. We'll make it size like 40. Oh, that's a little big. Let's go 32. Cool, I'm going to center it. And that looks good. Then I usually leave a spot for like an image. So I'm going to leave the left side open so I could put an image there. And then over here, I'm gonna put edit text. We'll make this maybe size like 24. And I usually center it again. And then I mentioned an image. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a GIF. I was just downloading some, so maybe I'm doing science. I can add this in. Okay, So we'll make it a little bit smaller so it's not too obnoxious. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Maybe I'm gonna drag this over. Okay, you all get the point. I can go in and change my background color, so maybe this one is going to be pink. Oh, I need this to have white fill. Okay, long day of teaching, very tired. All right, so now that I have this one, I can duplicate it over here by right-clicking and choosing duplicate. My next slide is usually orange. I do like a pattern, and I can leave this. Maybe I'm not gonna have an image. I'll just kind of leave that. And again, I can repeat this process and get all of my background pieces in. So now when I go in to add in slides like this, you can see that none of this is able to be moved or manipulated. I can go in and add the next slides that I created. And then if I want students to be able to type, maybe I'm gonna have them share their thoughts over here, I can add in the text box on top like this to say edit text, and then my students will be able to edit that, but they cannot edit anything else on the slide. So let me kind of show you how I'm using this. I go through and create that template for all of my colors and all of my different layouts, and I'm gonna call this slide template. Then when I'm going to actually create my lessons, I'm going to make a copy of this. So I'm going to go to File and then choose Make a Copy, Entire Presentation. I can go ahead and choose where I want it. So maybe this is math. Well, I said science. Science lesson 1. Keep it in my drive, hit OK. It's going to make a copy of that set of slides, and I'm going to show you how to go in and quickly edit it. So again, I want to edit the master for those things my students cannot change. So I'm going to slide, edit master. Maybe this is going to say science lesson 1. And maybe this is going to be about animal adaptations. And I'm going to put my I can statement. I can, I don't know, identify ways that animals adapt to survive. Okay, whatever, you get the point. So I'm gonna go through and edit that on all of my different slides. And then once I exit the slide master, it's already updated on my slides. The only thing I have to do is add in those pieces that I want my students to manipulate. So if they are going to have pictures they're gonna move around, or if they're gonna have text they're gonna move around, I just pop those on top and that's it. I can do a more thorough tutorial in the future. I just wanted to show you all that because I feel like it's a total game changer. Now, unfortunately, I am not done for the day because we have back to school night tonight from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. We obviously are doing a virtual through Google Meet. Our presentation is actually already done. I have a back to school night / meet the teacher slide template in my TPT store, so I will link that for you. I've been using it the past several years and it makes it really easy because all you have to do once you create it once is go in and make any changes. The crazy thing is, I think I've gotten 10 emails in the past day of changes I had to make based on new information coming out. So I've constantly been updating them, but thankfully having that template makes it really easy. For now, I have about an hour and a half. I think I'm gonna go grab a snack and maybe work on some lesson planning for next week. Maybe take a nap, I don't know yet, but once that is done tonight, I'm gonna try to get to bed early because I'm definitely feeling the first week of school exhaustion. So I will catch up with you in the morning. It is now Thursday. Back to school night went pretty well. My internet cut out at one point during the second session. We do 2 back-to-back sessions, so if parents have multiple kids in the school, they can attend both. And my internet cut out. It was okay since I paired up with one of my team teachers, so she just kept it going while my internet was coming back. But overall, it was good. And the only other thing work-wise that I did last night is I had to make an adjustment to that daily checklist that I showed you. I had my students listed in alphabetical order by last name because that's how they are like in my grade book. But I realized when they join in the Google Meet, it's alphabetical by first name. So because it's Google Sheets, I was able just to sort it and have it flip so that it was alphabetical by first name. And hopefully that will make it easier as I check off my students. But so far, 2 days in, I've had all of my students come, like both days. And I think that's really impressive. It is day 3. Today's schedule is very much like Tuesday's schedule. The only difference is in the afternoon. When I had collaborative planning on Tuesday, I have office hours, so I have to be on Google Meet and be able to help parents or students as needed. So I'm gonna head to school, and as you all know, I can't vlog, but I will catch up with you afterward in the car. Day 3 is officially done. I'm now at home because I recorded a vlog clip after I left school when I was in the car. And obviously my mind was not ready to recap my day, because in the recap I was like, oh yeah, it was a good day. And then once I went into the gym and started working out and started thinking about my day, I started thinking about all these things that I didn't even mention in the vlog. So I'm choosing to re-record it. Overall, it was a good day. Like, don't get me wrong, but it definitely was probably the least smooth day that I've had so far. You would think it would be the opposite. You would think each day would get smoother, but no. Today was a little bit of a hot mess in the technology department. So in terms of schedule, I had my homeroom class, which is also my block 1. So those students, I teach math, science, and social studies. I had them in the morning, just like on Tuesday. So I had them from 8:30 to 9:45, and then we had a break. Well, I had a break from 9:45 to 10:30 when they went to cultural arts, and then I had them again from 10:30 to 11:15. During that time, my Google Meet cut out 3 different times because of the internet. And when it wasn't cutting out, I was super laggy and glitchy. Like, it was just not a great experience. Instead of going into detail with the actual activities that I did, I made a plan with me for the first week of school. So I will link that because I go into all the activities. But basically, we played Pictionary as just kind of a fun morning starter. We did the code of conduct lesson. Then in the afternoon, I decided to try breakout rooms, which I can say I will never do again. Now, Google Meet is going to have a breakout room function, and I know there is a Chrome extension. I haven't tried the Chrome extension. I tried to do it just the good old-fashioned way, where basically I opened up different Google Meets for each group, and I shared the link with just those students on Google Classroom. So my students all stayed in the whole class Google Meet, and then they also entered a small group Google Meet, and I had all of them open on my computer, and it was just a hot mess because my computer was going slow. Plus, they were already having technology problems with the internet, and it just was not good at all. We were trying to do the sticky note pictures, which I shared in my building community video, and it didn't work. It didn't work well. A couple of groups were doing a good job, but nope, it was a complete hot mess. So that happened today. But I will say my day ended on a bright note. I got to meet with my block 2 students for the first time. So unlike block 1, where I teach them math, science, and social studies, block 2, I only teach them math. So I have them from 2 to 3 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I got to meet them for the first time, and I totally love them already. Obviously, I've only met them this one time and, you know, virtually, but I just had such a good time with them. I was worried they were gonna be very sluggish in the afternoon, but they weren't. They were super engaged, they were participating. I had a phenomenal time. So I did end on a good note, but I just will say that during the morning it was kind of a hot mess. But honestly, I think the reason immediately after school I wasn't thinking, oh, I had a bad day, is because I've gone into this with the mindset of problems are going to happen, there are going to be issues, but it's fine. Everything is figure outable. It's not the end of the world. And as a result, I didn't get super stressed out when there were problems. You know, when I tried the breakout room and it didn't work, I came back together with my class and I said, you know what? We tried it. It didn't work. That's okay. Like, thank you for being patient. Thank you for trying, but we're not going to do that again. And I feel like that mindset is just really helping me right now. So I'm not feeling overwhelmed or feeling stressed. Tomorrow is Friday, so that's good. I already went to the gym. It's currently like, I don't know, 7:30. Billy and I have a phone call with our officiant tonight. And then I have a few emails to answer, and I'm gonna call it a night because I'm very, very, very tired right now. So I will catch up with you in the morning. Happy Friday. I'm not going to lie, I'm very tired this morning. My voice is starting to hurt from talking so much. That's always one of the things that surprises me when we go back to school. My voice always wears out very, very quickly. I end up adapting and it's fine, but for the first like week or two, my voice gets very strained from all of the talking. So today my schedule is very much like yesterday's schedule, except we don't have the friends and fun time, which is like that lunch bunch that's only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that means I do have a longer planning time today, yay, because I do want to go ahead and start getting things planned for next week. I've kind of created some templates because of course I had to recreate my templates for this new style of learning, and I just have to go in and actually input the lessons, and I'm gonna try to work on that. I don't know if I'll get it all done today during the day, but Billy's actually going out of town tonight. He has to go back to his mom's house to help her with a yard sale. So that means I'll have tonight kind of free to be able to work on stuff after school if I'm not too tired, which there's a good possibility I will be. I do wanna share, I'm going to be reading the book I Promise by LeBron James to my class. In my classroom community video, I mentioned creating a class community agreement. It's kind of those lists of values and promises you're gonna make to each other as a class. So I thought this book would be a really good lead-in to that activity. And I'm gonna do another quizzes with my class today, but it's going to be on what they know about me. I don't even think I mentioned quizzes yesterday, but it's kind of like Kahoot. It's an online quiz, and what I like is students can do it at their own pace. So I can just share out the link and they can go on and work at their own pace, unlike Kahoot, which I think there might be like a student-paced option on Kahoot, but I've always done it as like a whole class, and they have to be able to see my screen plus their screen, and it's just not gonna work out as well online. So I'm using quizzes. I tried to plan some fun activities for Friday, but for now, I need to get logged on. I need to open up all of my tabs, and I will catch up with you at lunchtime. It is now lunchtime, and I want to share a win for today. An issue I have been having is that playing videos through Google Meet while presenting my screen is horrible. The video is laggy, it's glitchy, it just doesn't work. And I'm doing everything that I know of to make it better. So using an Ethernet cable, closing out all of my unnecessary tabs. When I present, I choose a Chrome tab because that's best for video and animation. Like, I'm doing all of those things and it's just not working. So here's what I am now doing instead. I've been playing a lot of Go Noodle videos because obviously my students need brain breaks. They're seated all day and I want to make sure they get up and moving. I actually bought myself a document camera. Now, the bad news is a lot of document cameras are being up-priced, so companies are raising their prices because they know that there is a demand for them right now. I will link this document camera, but I do believe it's gone up in price. When I bought it, it was like $84. However, there are other document cameras you can get. I'll try to link a few different options for you. I did buy this with my own money, and I understand not everyone is in a position to do that, but I will say it is making my life a lot easier because when I play videos, I actually just put my iPad underneath of the document camera. I switch my camera on Google Meet to the document camera and then just play it on my iPad, and that has been working really well. I also played like the morning announcement video right on my phone, and I just put it underneath, and that has been working. I understand it's not something that would work for everyone because you would have to have a document camera and you'd have to have multiple devices, but if you have that as an option, you should try it because it's definitely a lot better for trying to stream videos. It is just about the end of my lunch time, but I feel like I was actually productive today during my planning time. I was able to get one science lesson for next week fully planned, which I know does not sound impressive, but again, I'm still trying to figure out like the layout and how I'm gonna do things, and now that I've done one, I feel like it will be much easier to do the next one. I also created a form that I'm going to have for office hours. So I think it's 4 days a week. I want to say it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have about 30 minutes of office hours in the afternoon. So in order to help organize that, I'm going to have a form that parents can fill out to let me know that they want to meet for office hours. I'm going to send that out to them in an email today, but I'm also going to put it on our grade level website for easy access on our contact page. So here's to the afternoon. We're almost done. Our first full week of virtual teaching. I feel like, you know, things are getting better. Improvements are being made. There's still some tech issues. Things have still been kind of glitchy today, but it could be worse. So I am knocking on wood that it stays that way this afternoon, and you know, we're getting through it. I understand this is not the most efficient way to do this. I should probably just record my screen instead of using my camera to record my screen, but whatever. It's Friday afternoon. I don't care. So I have talked a lot about Jamboard, which is a collaborative digital whiteboard, and I will share the link down in the description box. It's free. I do want to show you all a little hack for it. So when you're on Jamboard, let's say you open up a Jamboard and you want your students to be able to edit it and add to it collaboratively. The easiest thing to do is just go up to share. A little box will open up and you want to come down to get the link. You want to click anyone with the link, so change to anyone with the link. And then if you have a network, that will be an option. You could keep it just within your network or make it anyone with the link, whatever. When you want students to edit it, make sure you change this to editor, and then you will copy the link, and then I just paste that link right in the chat on Google Meet. That's the easiest way for me to direct students there. Of course, you can create these ahead of time and link to it in like a Google Classroom assignment or a document, but sometimes in the moment you're like, hey, I just need a collaborative whiteboard. So you copy it and you share the link, and then your students are all gonna start adding, you know, sticky notes, and they're gonna add like pictures, and they're gonna add text, and then they're gonna take the sticky notes and be moving them all around, and they're gonna take the laser pointer and be doing that all over the page, and it gets really annoying. So what I like to do is give my students, you know, a couple of minutes to add their ideas, and then when I'm going over it and I don't want them to manipulate the sticky notes anymore, all I do in the moment is come up to share, and again, I hit change, and I change this from editor to just viewer. And as soon as I hit that setting, now my students can still view the Jamboard, they just can't make any changes. So they can't move the sticky notes, they can't add to it anymore. And I feel like that works really, really well. Of course, I could go over it, and if I want them to then be able to edit again, I come back to share, go to change to editor, and hit done. That literally takes about 10 seconds, so you can quickly turn on and off access for your students in the moment when they're using Jamboard. All right, it is now Friday afternoon, which means I've survived my first week of virtual teaching. Overall, I think the week went better than I thought that it would. Obviously, there have been some bumps in the road along the way, but I've also learned a lot of new things, and I'm figuring things out. I think next week will be a lot better, and the week after that will be better, and I'm sure once I'm a pro, we'll end up back in the classroom. That's just how things go. But currently my back, like upper back area, is killing me. And I even have like a nice desk chair, but I think just from sitting all day, it's definitely hurting. And I'm not feeling overly stressed. Like, I've gotten most of my stuff done. Am I planned for next week? No. Currently I only have one lesson planned, but it's okay because I've gotten mostly everything else on my to-do list done, with the exception of I have to create 3 days of emergency sub-plans, like pre-recorded lessons. That's not gonna get done anytime soon. But other than that, I feel good. But for those of you who also started this week, I hope you have similar feelings. If you are feeling overwhelmed, please take time for yourself this weekend and give yourself grace. Things are not gonna be perfect. They're not gonna be perfect really ever, but they're definitely not even going to be fantastic for a while. And that's okay, because we are building the plane as we are flying it. If this video did help you and you learned at least like one thing that you can try, please give it a thumbs up. Share it out with other teacher friends that you think might like it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I have some really good ones coming. I'm gonna talk about my digital setup, and just stay tuned, okay? I have some good stuff coming. As always, thank you for watching. I love you all so much. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.